Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of T-Dog RC. I'm Tim and in this video we are carrying on with the Angelwing design Dammit. Sorry, forgot the name there for a second. This is part 3 of this series. So in the last episode we basically got this done, got the main sort of wing construction done and pretty much, you know, most of the model done really. I've since sanded all this down and this is all ready to go. So my next task for this particular video is to get the fuselage section done and all the little bits around that. So let's get on this bench and let's get stuck in. Okay, well, welcome back to the bench. As I said in the intro, part 3, and we're going to be getting on with the fuselage and probably some other little bits and bobs. Struggling to get into the workshop at the minute in the evenings. I don't know why, it's just been busy time, but hopefully that will change. We've just come into November now, so yeah, things will hopefully calm down a little bit and be able to get back in here a few more evenings, although it is now starting to get pretty cold, but we've got the heater on. That's perhaps you can hear that in the background, and we're all toasty in here, so that's all right. So I've got all the components cut out on the cutting mat already. So we've got 2 fuselage sides, very small they are too. These are 1/8 birch ply, I believe, and then we've got a former that goes in the middle about there, and again just locks in there with the tabs, and there's only one way it can go as well. If you try and flip it over, it won't fit like that, so that's really good. And then we've got this front piece here, which obviously is like a front former, and then there's also an engine mount eventually that goes on here, but we don't need to put that on just yet, so that's going to sit in there. Then we've got the top sheeting. Now these are the 2 bits that you get in the kit, and as I've mentioned in the previous video, I'm following the build blog YouTube, or vlog should I say, that's on YouTube by Nick Chitty. And if you go onto the Angelwing's website and click on instructions for this particular model, it literally just takes you to that playlist on Nick's channel. So there are no instructions as such, you just follow along with the video. But that's absolutely fine because Nick does a great job of explaining it all to you. And interestingly, there's quite an old video now, a couple of years old, but I've got the exact same problem that he had, and that is that I don't appear to have enough sheeting supplied in the kit. So this is like the bottom sheeting. So you get these 2 pieces, but I can't find anything else. But there is enough sort of leftover sheeting. Well, not leftover sheeting, but there's leftover bits from the bolts of boards. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a single piece, but I've just used these to make up. That's enough there. I've just managed to find that from scraps from the rest of the kit to finish it off. So that's fine. Not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. It's only on the bottom. And the trick is with this setup is we want to get this mounted into the fuselage. So we've got the wings upside down at the minute because this essentially is how you slot it in. I've already mounted this piece here. So this was a wing spar strengthener, and that also helps these fuselage sides lock in. And I've also done a dry fit of the 2 sides, and as with everything else in this kit, they just fit in millimetre perfect, like just slot in. There's no movement whatsoever. And then these bits here just sit perfectly on these sort of inner fuselage sides there. So what we need to do is we need to get it all into position and then glue it in certain areas. So like glue the front former in place, and then a tiny little bit of glue on the middle former, and then glue the sheeting on a little bit just to give it enough strength so we can then take it back out as a whole piece, and it should in theory be, you know, square and exactly the right shape to go back in. But then we finish off gluing it outside of, you know, off the wing, because then you want to keep it separate, because when we go to cover it, it's going to be a lot easier to cover this without having that fuselage on. We can cover both bits separately, and then when we're ready we can slot that back in place and glue it in place to finish. So let's just have a look. So first thing we've got to do is We've got to get this locked in here. And I haven't tried this yet, but there we go, fits perfectly like everything else. So then we get this side on. And at this stage, it doesn't need to be square or anything like that, because we're going to be slotting this into the fuselage. So now we've got it like that. Let's get that slotted in. Just bear me 1 second, because I think my mic is about to run out of battery. Okay, so let's get this slotted in now. It's quite a tight fit, as you would expect, but after a little bit of fiddling. Okay, so got that slotted in. That was a little bit fiddly. The side went in quite easily without this middle former in, but once I put that in, it was a very tight squeeze. But it's gone in now, and then you can see, just about see here, probably better looking at that. So you can see there that it just lines up perfectly with that inner fuselage side there. And then we can get this front piece in. Have I made a mistake here? Should I put this in first? Probably, which is going to be an absolute pain. Oh no, we can just squeeze that in. Sorry, you can't see that on the camera. Okay, so that's gone in there as well. So that's all good. And then what I'm going to do is get this CA'd here. No worries there, I can just drop the CA in there, get that nice and locked in place. And then here, I'm going to be really careful and just drop a tiny little bit of CA on the corners there and there, because I do not want it to glue onto this, because as I say, I want to take this fuselage side back out. And then what we're going to do, and again this is all sort of taken from tips from Nick's video, is we'll get this top piece put on, and again we'll just sort of glue it here and here where it just sticks up from the wing. If I glue it down here, obviously that's going to glue it to the wing, so we'll glue it there and there. And then this piece we can glue on, no problem. And then these pieces we can glue on as well. And then we can pull this out. So I'm just going to get that all glued up, and then we'll try and get it back out again. Okay, so managed to get that off. I had a little bit of an issue where a drip of CA actually dripped onto it around here. And it was just enough to catch the side, but I had to just run my knife down the edge there and it came off. But as you can see now, I've got myself a nice little fuselage in one piece and all ready to just slot back in. And I've just ran sanding block just over the edges of those, probably do them a little bit more before I cover it, but I can put that to one side for now. Next thing I've got now is this rather strange, well, it's not that strange, it's a piece of balsa, but this is the fin support, but it glues on the back here. And what's a bit odd about it is it just feels like I'm going to knock this off, because it doesn't glue on with much, but we'll see anyway. So we'll get that lined up, drop a bit of CA in there, and then glue that in place. And then what I've done as well, again another tip from Nick's video, is I've just added a doubler piece here, just in between those two inner pieces. Otherwise it would interfere with when the fuselage goes in, but it just gives it a little bit more area at the end here for that to glue to. So I'm going to get that glued on real quick, and then the next thing we need to do is just cut this fin out, and just join this together, glue this together. So let me just quickly get this glued in place. I'm going to glue it this way round, I'm just going to line it up like that. Making sure obviously it's level with this top hatch. Oops. And we'll just drop a bit of CA over the top there. Give that a second to go off. And then we'll turn it over and we'll get a load wicked into there. And hopefully that will be enough to hold it. Obviously when the fin's in place it's going to be fine, but I can't put the fin in place until I've covered it. So it is a little bit flimsy, but we're just going to have to be careful. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so let's now, I'll just put this to one side. And then we can get this cut out. Okay, let's put that to one side. I always keep the little scraps of balsa whilst I'm doing a build. Some bits I will then keep in my little sort of stock of spare bits, but once I've finished it I'll throw all the little fiddly bits away, but I just always keep them because you never know when you might need them as you're going through the build, as was the case with the hatch. So we'll just get the sanding stick on there, and then that's going to go like that, and then you've got the two tabs that stick in the end. So I think what I'm going to do is just put some tape down. I'm tempted to glue this together with some wood glue, because I'm going to leave this, I'm going to call it a night for now and leave this gluing overnight. So just stick some clear tape down like that, and then let's get the wood glue. And just run a real thin bead. Obviously don't want a lot, particularly not on the bottom. And then let's get that lined up on this tape. Make sure that's nicely covered, like that. And then grab one of my weights and we'll just let that sit overnight. Okay, that's going to do it for this particular clip. And then next job I've got to do, which will be coming up in the next clip, is got to start working on this hatch. So we've got to get this cut out, and that is going to go here like this. So we've got a piece of glue in here and some magnets. You do get, I think, yeah, you get the two little magnets there for the hatch in the kit, in the little accessory bag. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow to look at this and sort that hatch out, for you it's going to be a couple of seconds. Okay, let's just give you an update as to where I've got to. It's a couple of days after that clip. It's Saturday afternoon now, so I just got a few hours to kill, so I thought I'd come back in the workshop. As you can see, I've got the fin, should I say, in place, and it is thin, very flimsy, very, very sort of lightweight. You have to be really careful down here. I did actually snap it down there, so I've just CA'd it back. And I also made a bit of a mistake. I glued this piece here in back to front, so the slot is there at the back. It should have been at the front, but it's not really a problem. I've just cut the slot in myself. And then what it does is the tab on the fin then slots into this centre strut here. So again, all very nicely thought out. But yeah, that's done. The fin is. I might just take the corners off that, take the sharp edges off, just to give it a little bit of roundness. But it's so fragile, I don't want to do too much with that. So that's all done. So that I finished gluing the little sort of fin holder in at the back there. So that's all fine. You can also see, if I just move the camera a little bit here, we're getting down to the last few bits of wood, so I'm almost done. So actually it's a really quick build. It's obviously just taken me a while because I always struggle just to find the time to come in here and do some work, but there we are. So then the other thing I've been working on is the hatch. So this all came on one piece. So there's a little magnet holder there, which I've glued in place. And then the magnet actually sits, well obviously there's two magnets, but this magnet is going to sit in the bottom of this. So you've got a gap between the top of the magnet and the top of the wood. And then here, at first when I saw this, I thought, oh, they've laser cut that little hole out, you must pop that out and put the magnet in. But they haven't laser cut it on the back, and I was thinking, oh, that's going to be really difficult to try and cut that out. But actually that's just a marker, that's where your magnet goes. So the magnet on the hatch just glues on there, and then when you put this together, that's going to actually slot into there because you've got that gap, if that makes sense. So it's going to kind of slot in and lock it in place. It's quite a nice little system really. And then yeah, just made up the little hatch. So there's two rails that you have to glue on, and it does have a little bit of a curve to it to match the small sort of curve on there, and essentially just sort of locks in place like that. It's a nice tight fit, and sort of just goes down like that. And then obviously when the magnet's on, hopefully that'll kind of hold it in place. We'll see how strong it is. I think I am going to have to put some sort of something here to pull, because it might be a bit tricky. So that's all that done. And then I've got another very small little job. Now in the video vlog of building this, there's some little pieces to go on the tips here just to sort of pad them out a bit, I guess, so you don't just have to stretch the film over there. But there aren't any in my kit, and I'm pretty sure I've not misplaced them. I've gone through all, I've still kept all the old boards. I would have thought they would have been in this piece because this is the right thickness, but this has just literally got the ailerons and then these little tips, which I'll show you in a minute. So I've just cut some blocks out, 4 blocks myself, just from this wood, and I'm going to stick these on here with some PVA. I'll do that before I pack up for the day, put a little clip on them to hold them in place, and then leave those overnight, and then I can just shape those, just sand them down. It's nice soft bolts of wood, so it should be fairly easy to shape. So yeah, I'll just cut those out. So next job now is to we've got these just remaining pieces, so we've got to cut the ailerons out. They're quite nice looking with the light holes to make them lighter. So we'll get those cut out. These bits here are just the tips that go on here, so I've got to get those glued on as well. And then we've just got this one last piece which has just got the control horns on. You get 4, but obviously you only need 2 unless you're supposed to glue them together, but I don't think so. No, the slot's only big enough for 1, so they must just give you 2 spares. but we don't need those just yet. And then there's a tail skid, which simply just glues on the bottom, slots into those two slots there, but I'll do that once I've covered it. No point in sticking that on now. And then I've also got a little motor mount, so I've got to mount the motor to that. And I think the idea is, because it's got these little laser cut holes in, you then screw that into there. That fits in perfectly as everything with this model. So you're going to screw that into there, and it just means, I guess, that if you need to replace the motor, you can just pull that out and you can easily get to the back of the motor. So that's another little job we've got to do. And I'll probably actually cover that as well before we screw that in place. I suppose I should drill the holes out first, I guess. And so yeah, we're almost there. So next job now anyway for me is I'm going to get these ailerons cut out and get these tips glued on, and then I've got to do a little bit of shaping on the ailerons just with the razor plane and a sander, because they're pretty square as they are. So obviously got to chamfer the leading edge of these so you've got some movement there, and then we'll just plane down the, well actually I don't know if I will plane that, cause I will do, perhaps just take the very edge off it just to give it a little bit of shape. So let me get these cut out, get the tips glued on. The tips, these two tips here, literally just glue on here, so that's fairly straightforward. Yeah, so I'm going to get those cut out and show you how they look. Okay, so got the ailerons cut out, got the wingtips put on, and I've just shaped those down a little bit, and then with the ailerons, or elevons probably should call them, like I say, I've put a bit of a chamfer on that leading edge there just so it can obviously have some up and down movement, and then I've just rounded off the trailing edge with the razor plane and a bit of sandpaper. So all I've got to do now is just glue these blocks on with the wood glue, and then I'll just clip those on just using some of these, and then I shall call it a day for today. And then once I get back in the workshop, they're going to be dry. I can give everything a final sand, and then it will be ready for covering. So that's going to be in the next episode. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been great to have you on board watching along. If you like what I do, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really love to have you on board. If you like fixed wing, balsa, RC, a little bit of FPV as well, nitro and electric, and in the future a bit of petrol hopefully, yeah, then hit the subscribe button. And also, if you've enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. That would help me out a lot. And if you hit the bell icon, then you'll be alerted when I bring the next one out, when I'll be doing the covering. So press the bell icon as well. And as always, if you've got any comments, stick them below and I'll always get back to you. Okay, thanks a lot, and I will see you soon for the next one.